Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, Dr. Maan, to Guidance College's first podcast episode. Today, we are going to be talking about an interesting topic from the perspective of parents looking to give their children a proper education, not just in their science and math, but also in their Islamic development. So Dr. Maan Al-Quda, he's the president and co-founder of Guidance College, but he also has a long history in building successful Islamic schools here in Houston. He is one of the co-founders of Houston Quran Academy. I used to teach there with him, and I was so fascinated to find people who were memorizing the Quran, understanding the Quran, learning Arabic. They knew major themes of every surah that they memorized. And then there was just some really good teachers that were teaching English, science, mathematics, and some of the students today that we were teaching 15 years ago are now in the workforce and leaders in the Muslim community. So Dr. Maan is someone who has walked the walk. And today he's going to be sharing his wisdom on building and financing successful Islamic schools. This topic is particularly relevant in 2025 because in Texas, a voucher program has been released for private schools where parents can seek up to $10,000 in private school education. So I know that there's a lot of excitement in the private Islamic school space to take advantage of this government program because many times private school, Islamic school, is financially out of reach for many parents, many families. So it's a great time to strengthen Islamic schools. It's a great time to build an Islamic school. And we're hoping with this podcast with you, Dr. Maan, that we're able to get some thought leadership from Guidance College for all Muslims in the West on how to build a successful Islamic school.
Well, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for having me here today. Let me just start with the fact that, yes, I do believe in the importance of Islamic education on a college level. But believe it or not, building the infrastructure of Islamic studies and Islamic education starts from elementary school, if not even from kindergarten. So I wholeheartedly believe that elementary, middle, and high school Islamic education are way more important than college Islamic education, because that is the foundation. You need to take care of those kids, the new Muslim generation, and like insert in them the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. You need to immerse them in an Islamic environment, socially responsible, a lot of Islamic information that they need to learn, right? In addition to the regular education. So if you are to ask me a question, which one is more important, elementary, middle, and high school Islamic education or college? My answer would be no. Elementary, middle, and high school education are way more important than Islamic education at college level.
So you have this really insightful PowerPoint presentation that you go around and you do trainings, and it's very pragmatic. But before jumping into that, I wanted to ask about some of the spiritual questions around niyyah, around intention. When a family or a community is thinking of starting an Islamic school, what should be some of those core niyyat, those core intentions when starting an Islamic school?
Well, the most important thing actually is al-ikhlas, make no mistake about it. Sincerity, that you need to make sure that you align your intention and your practice with whatever is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your intention has to be that I want to help preserving the Muslim identity. I want to produce to the Muslim community more and more, proud and loud Muslims from the new Muslim generation. One of the most effective ways actually is to have Islamic schools, because here in this society you either send your kids to public school, and you know what does it mean in 2025 to send your Muslim kids to public school system in the US in particular, and Texas in general, and Texas in particular, or otherwise you send them to charter school, which is honestly not that big difference when it comes to charter as opposed to public school, or homeschooling, which is something that I do not recommend at all, because kids actually need to socialize and play sport and intermingle with one another and build some connection with other community members. Islamic school actually is a must. It's not a luxury in this society. Having Islamic school actually is a must if you want to really to preserve the Muslim identity and to continue growing and impacting the identity of the American society. You have no choice but to continue establishing and empowering and supporting Islamic schools in the U.S.
Yeah, I never went to Islamic school myself. I did madrasa for 2 years and homeschool at the same time, and I agree that homeschooling isn't enough for the social development. I have my thoughts around academic excellence. The kids in homeschool, they're much more focused, but definitely if it wasn't for my masjid community and being with children around my age at the time, then that social component is there. And what might you say is something that distinguishes Islamic schools from public school or from charter schools? Because so one of the reputation things, or one of the things I hear is like, well, I send my kid to Islamic school so that they learn their Islam, but it may not necessarily be the best academics. So in your experience with HQA, what were you hoping to do? What were you hoping to achieve with HQA, Houston Quran Academy, when it came to the philosophy of an Islamic school?
Well, Houston Quran Academy is really a unique model that is proven to be very successful. The theory actually before was that you either send your kids to a madrasa or to Quran class to memorize Quran like in 2 or 3 years, and then you send him or her to public school, to catch up with the regular education, with the regular curriculum between math and science and social studies and English. Myself and Dr. Hamid Ghazali wanted to say to this theory, no, this is incorrect. It's not either or, it should be both. Okay, in order for your kids to be hufad of the Quran, understanding the meaning of the Quran, as you said, knowing the theme of each surah, knowing the tafsir of the Quran, learning, how to present themselves as proud and loud Muslims, know a lot about the seerah and the biography of the Prophet ﷺ, living in an Islamic environment from one side, as opposed to proceeding and excelling in their academics. They can actually be combined together. And that is the actual philosophy of Houston Quran Academy. There is no separation. There is no need actually to separate the Islamic education from the regular one. No, we can put them together, and we can prove to the community at large that our kids can be excellent in their academics and in their Quran and Islamic studies and their Islamic personality as well. And that's why Houston Quran Academy in particular is 2 schools in 1 school. It's 2 in 1. We just, quote unquote, we grill the kids from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way until 4 p.m. between regular academics, PE, almost every day, and Islamic studies, between Quran memorization, between Quran revision, tafsir, tajweed, Islamic studies, knowing the basic rules of tahara and salah, and so on and so forth. So Houston Quran Academy is a 2 in 1 school. It is regular academics, as well as like full-time Islamic school. And alhamdulillah, we're like within the last 13-14 years, we have proven with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this model actually is working perfectly fine, and our kids do not have to compromise their academics for the sake of the Quran, or to compromise their Quran for the sake of academics. So having them actually both together is very doable. And hence we are reviving the heritage of Islamic scholarship, like the ulama and the fuqaha in the past. Some of them actually were like very professional and highly specialized in medicine and Islamic studies, right. Maybe in astronomy and Islamic studies, right. Fiqh and maybe biology and right. so on and so forth. So we are here to prove that combination actually is very possible. In fact, this is the default situation. I mean, this is the normal situation which is not to believe in that secularism or that separation between Islam and Islamic study from one side and the actual real life from the other side.
Right. No, mashallah, it's amazing to see some of the alumni from HQA. Now they're contributing members of society as in the business world, in medicine, in law, and engineering. And then at the same time, they're contributing to their communities and their families as well. So may Allah make that a sadaqah jariyah for you, for Dr.
Amen.
Hamid and everyone that was
Amen.
involved.
Amen.
So let's switch gears to the financial component of building an Islamic school. In your presentation, you talk about seed money and reserves. So when starting an Islamic school, how much seed money is needed to launch a successful Islamic school? And why do you recommend a reserve for 3 months?
In this society, in particular, money talks. So based on the amount of money that you have available, accessible, you can make a decision. This is from one side. From the other side, as they say, no second chance to make the first impression. No second chance to make the first impression. Which means that once you start, you have to be strong, grounded, well established, financially stable, visionary, missionary, knows exactly what are you aiming and where are you heading with your school. And based on that, it depends on the size that you want to start with. It depends on the size of the school that you want to start with. In my very humble experience, I do not recommend starting too big from the beginning, because the possibility of failing and not being able to catch up with the finance of the school becomes higher and higher. Start small, steady, slowly, but strongly. You grow with the community. 3 months actually means like one semester. I would say one semester. Make sure that you know exactly how much is your overhead expenses per month, between rent, between utility bills, between insurance, between payroll, between other expenses, whatever. Make sure that you do the math correctly, and then you secure a minimum of 3 to 4 months, okay, for the very first semester of the very first school year. So if you cannot catch up in the first semester, then actually you are setting your project to failure. So before you start, you have to make sure that you are backed up with a sufficient amount cash on hand or on your checking account ready, to make sure that if there is no donation in the first one semester, that the first semester of the school year, you do have sufficient fund or reserve, if you wish, to back you up and to make sure that money is not an issue and you can move on.
So what that means is if you do your calculations, you determine that your monthly operating expense is $10,000, then to have $30,000 to $40,000 reserve before getting started.
I would say a minimum of 40,000 in your example, like 30,000 the actual real expense and 10,000 for emergency. You never know, something might pop up, and if you do not have money, you will get panic, and you do not know how to handle the situation, and that again might set the failure of your project. So before you announce the establishment of a new Islamic school, you have to make sure that the fund actually is there, and then you can start.
So let's talk about getting these funds. You talk about donor relationships between mega donors and monthly sustainers, small donation one time. Talk to us a little bit about your strategy and experience on cultivating relationships. Which one is more important? Which one is less?
Mega donors are important in any Muslim community, especially if they are highly educated, especially if they believe in the importance of Islamic education. Instead of wasting your time and effort on spending more time reaching out to donors with a small amount of money, maybe $100 a month or $200 or $500, maybe like one donor you can spend with him or her half an hour and get your check of $100,000. It did happen, it does happen, and it will continue happening. I came across several mega donors. Some of them are business people, engineers, entrepreneurs, maybe doctors, like physicians, and they believe actually in the importance of Islamic education. They would love to help and support and serve, but they do not have time. So the only component that they can pitch in, if you wish, is the money, which is fine. We do have educators, we do have religious leaders, we do have workers, we do have human resources, but what we were lacking and still lacking up to a certain limit actually is the fund. So if you can find 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 mega donors in your community who believe in you as an individual and who believe in your vision and your mission on establishing a new Islamic school, those individuals will be your backup. If you start struggling financially, well, they are there. They'll give you like a peace of mind. Do not worry. Just you take care of the logistic and the vision and the mission of the school and the curriculum and the hiring and all these different administrative issues, and we are here to support you. Once you get that commitment, okay, verbal commitment that yes, we are here to help you, you should be in a good shape. This actually should not belittle the importance of having regular / small donors. Yani I would love to see like auto pay from my community members $50 a month, $100 a month, continuously non-stop. This actually creates more sustainability, but you cannot in the beginning, like whenever you want to start a school, no, you need to have like big chunk of money, some big donors, mega donors who are willing to support the project. Maybe they back off later on, but in the beginning actually you have to have those individuals who are standing by to support you financially.
You mentioned a point that perked my ears. You said finding people who believe in you as individuals, but you're raising money for an institution. Why is it you mentioned they believe in you as an individual?
Credibility, to be like transparent with you, credibility and trustworthiness are a big deal in this society here. If those mega donors believe in you as an individual, you are so trustworthy, so independent, you do have long history in serving the community, everybody appreciates you as an individual, okay, everybody trusts you, everybody has confidence in you that yes, you are the right person to start that school, then actually money comes. If there is no trust and confidence and trustworthiness, then it's really hard, to get the money. We came across several, examples in the past where trustworthiness was not there, money was provided, and there was no progress.
Yeah.
The money just had been gone.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think that's an important piece, that anyone that's looking to start a project is to find members in the community that have a lot of good reputation and trust, and then the community gets behind them.
Correct.
So I think that's an important point. So you mentioned a little bit about pre-establishment and gradual growth. Can you talk a little bit more about that? In your presentation, you talk about starting off maybe as a daycare, then the elementary school, and adding 1 grade per year. So yeah, just talk to us how maybe you did that at HQA and how you recommend that with your hindsight.
Sure. Daycare actually is number one, highly demanded, because most of the Muslim families, they do have like young kids, they like daycare age. Daycare actually is a money generating project, like from a pure business perspective. Okay, the amount that you charge as a tuition fees is good enough. So you can be, believe it or not, self-sufficient financially with the daycare project, okay, or a product to the community within just maybe 2 years. Because actually you will be getting a good amount of money as tuition fees that is sufficient enough to pay all the expenses. However, that service or that level of education is insufficient. Those kids, boys and girls who are jumping around in the daycare for this year will be in need for first grade next year. So you need to catch up with the need of the community. So next year, you open like first grade. You establish first grade and you take those kids. And in the daycare, like a new kids will be just growing up and will be eligible to be, admitted to the daycare. The year after, you make like a second grade, third grade. So literally, you grow with the community. You catch up with the need of the community, and you go with that gradual process of being like exclusively daycare all the way until high school.
But what if you have like a core group of parents and family members that have high school kids, and they're like, Dr. Maan, we need to start a high school, but you're still building elementary stage?
If you do have the human resources and the financial resources and all the logistics like the blueprint and the thinkers and the leaders, okay, who do have experience, who do have that trustworthiness and that good reputation, you may be able to like start I would say maybe like elementary school and middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first few years, you can go with Montessori style,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be really hard for you to hire one math teacher, okay, for the fourth grade, and another one for the sixth grade, and another one. It's going to be like really hard. So going like Montessori style up to certain limit would be fine for the first few years until you like like strengthen yourself and become more grounded, more established,
Yeah.
right? And then you can expand by just offering high school service to the community.
Right. No, I think it's better to build it right first before jumping into something that you're not ready for.
That's correct.
And especially you don't want to fumble someone's education, as in the high school stage, particularly. So you mentioned some of the challenges around finances for Islamic schools, but I'm curious to now learn your thoughts on tuition. So how should Islamic schools set tuition rates, and also things like sibling discounts, financial aid? Just talk to me a little bit about setting reasonable tuition rates, and then also some of the realities that you face when there's a family coming in with 4 kids, or demonstrating financial need.
Well, theoretically speaking, you should set your tuition fees in a way that you generate every month whatever is sufficient to cover your expenses. This is like from a very pure theoretical perspective. In the real life, it doesn't go this way, because you cannot have like very solid numbers from the beginning of the school year that yes, for this year I will be having this amount of students, and this is the expense, the monthly expense that I have. So you do the math, you divide like the number of students, okay? You do the math and you find out like how much you have to charge them. Again, in the real life, it doesn't go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like unexpected pop-ups and expenses, just pop up like from nowhere, and you have to have some fund for them. There is I would say like prevailing practice or mainstream practice in the Islamic schools that for elementary it should be between, I would say nowadays in 2025, again between $400 to $600 per student per month, right? And that amount is almost sufficient enough to secure a good finance and good like cash flow for the school every month, with I would say between 10 to 15% annual deficit. And maybe we'll be talking about the deficit later on.
We are, yeah.
The factor actually here that has to be taken into consideration is how much is your expenses between, again, rent, maintenance, tax, insurance, overhead expenses, payroll. Okay, from a pure business perspective, you should be self-sufficient. And I don't want to say that you should make some profit, because this is a non-for-profit, business or organization. But at least you have to make sure that you are not like stressed out with the finance. Okay, you are not so panic every month because you do not have money to pay your teachers. I mean, this is the last thing to do in Islamic school. You need to focus on the quality of education, and you cannot focus on the quality of your education if you have financial continuous challenge on monthly basis. Most of the like Muslim families cannot afford paying, let's say, an average $500 per child per month. It's really hard.
Yeah, let's say they have 3 children.
3 children, I mean, $1,500 to $2,000 a month only for tuition fees. I think we are asking too much here, right? So there should be some discount for family members, and that's what most of the Islamic schools actually do. So they make a discount for the second child, discount for the third child. Some of them, like if you have 4 kids, the fourth one actually will be admitted for free. Right? طيب, if making discount actually secures some fund, but makes the total collection every month insufficient. Where to go from here? Well, donation actually is the, is the solution. And having between 10 to 15% deficit on an annual basis is not a bad sign.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the advantages, if you wish, of having deficit is that you always keep the community engaged. You need to call for a fundraising. You bring your brothers and sisters from the community. You give them an update. Where are we standing? You show them like some samples of, what we have achieved, for this year. So you keep everybody engaged, everybody involved, everybody is caring about the school. A part of that care actually is to contribute some money. So 10 to 15% deficit, I would say that would be fine. And this is, to my knowledge, what most of the Islamic schools actually do nowadays. If their annual budget is $1 million, they can collect between 800 to 850, and they just turn to the community and ask for the difference. And believe it or not, some donors, they love to donate money for Islamic schools.
Yeah.
Because they see the fruit and the outcome result and the final product of those Islamic schools. Kids, mashallah, so proud. Muslims, girls are fully hijabi. They read Quran perfectly fine. They go to the masajid. They are obedient and respectful to their parents. They are heavily involved in the community. Kind, nice, supportive, religious. All these good qualities that we would love to see in our kids actually are there. So because of what they see as outcome result of the Islamic school, they donate money.
Yeah, mashallah. No, there's definitely no shortage of funding and no shortage of passion when you can attract people to these projects because people see the benefit in their giving immediately. So, can you, what, I'm going to stick with tuition because, I used to run a Sunday school and it was like pulling teeth to get tuition.
I know.
So let's talk a little bit about the reality of collecting and collections. Why should schools avoid late fees and instead, think about other ways to motivate people to pay on time? So your presentation talks about offering discounts. And what are the pros and cons of late fees versus applying discounts?
Well, we have some Islamic finance like haram and halal issues here. Once we make an agreement between the school administration and the parents that, listen, the tuition fees of your kids for this year is $500 a month. Once we sign an agreement, like verbal or just written agreement, then that amount is not to be increased, and any kind of late fees will be interpreted as riba, as interest, believe it or not, because that's a commitment. You have to pay $5,000 a year. 500 times 10 months, that's 5,000 straight, right? Once we agree on that, then that amount actually is the total responsibility, okay, of the parents. If you charge them late fees, it will be interpreted as riba. Okay. Another example: each and every single utility bill that you receive does have a due date, right? What will happen if you do not pay in full before the due date? You will be charged late fees. Well, from an Islamic finance perspective, that extra money that you pay as late fees is a none but riba. So it should not be an option. It should not be an option to charge parents late fees. The problem here is that, which is like really embarrassing and unfortunate to say, that some parents take advantage of the Islamic school. They do not take it seriously. Like whenever they transact with the people of different faith, okay, they show their commitment and their punctuality and their desire to be as professional as possible. But when it comes to Muslim/Muslim interaction and transaction, we show unfortunately otherwise. So how can you enforce the tuition fees? Well, if the only way that you can do is to impose late fees, then you can, but you make sure as an Islamic school administration, you do not benefit from that money. You can put that money aside. You can pay it to a collection agency or maybe a law firm to go after those people who do have delinquent accounts and just enforce them to pay the fees. One of the ways, like if you do have bad experience with some of the parents, maybe you can ask for a co-signer or for a guarantor from the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
And you need to be just frank and open with those parents that we did not have a good experience in the past. If you want your kids to join us for this year, ahlan wa sahlan, we'd love to have them in. But guess what? You need to bring someone to guarantee you, someone like to be a guarantor.
Yeah.
If you do not pay on time, then he or she will be paying on your behalf. So you just put more pressure on them to make sure. Because again, the last thing actually to do is to come toward the end of the month and your checking account does not have sufficient money to pay your teachers. This is, you are definitely setting yourself to failure.
So what advice do you have for communities trying to establish an Islamic school, have world-class teachers, but then there is this reality where sometimes our community doesn't take payment seriously and say, oh, this is Allah's work, this is fi sabilillah, so why should I pay? I really need to hear from you. Like, I think the community needs a reality check, a little bit of like real hard talk here. Do you just say to people, sorry, you can't come to this Islamic school?
Well, if I have to, believe it or not, I will do it. Like if a certain parent or parents, are proven to be financially irresponsible and they do not take the Islamic school business and money and tuition seriously, then with all due respect, we cannot accommodate them. We are very serious. We are visionary individuals. We have a job and task to accomplish, and I will never allow disturbance in my business. Okay, I'm not in a business of just going after people and begging them to pay the tuition fees. This is a commitment you have to pay on time. Otherwise, you find somewhere else. There is another maybe trick, if you wish, which is a halal one. If you are looking forward to get $500 per student per month, maybe you can do the following. Okay, you set the tuition fees as $550 a month. Okay, with an incentive or discount, $50 if the parents are willing to pay in the first 3 days of the month. So your goal actually is to get $500, but you ask them to pay $550 per month per student, and you make a discount, okay, or a promotion. If you pay me in the first 3 days of the month, I will make a $50 discount. Guess what will happen? 99.9% of the parents will pay you in the first day.
Yeah, you created as an incentive.
Incentive, exactly. But this is like a way around, or like a loophole, okay, away from riba. This is a halal approach. If you do it this way, you just like make discount for people who pay like for early payment, if you wish.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to.
You can always count on Dr. Maan to find the halal loophole.
Well.
No, it's good. It's human psychology. It's like if you're incentivizing to save money, so why not? Let's talk about a little bit about the new laws that have passed in Texas. This new voucher program that Governor Abbott has put into place that allows for individuals who seek to put their children in private schools. They can seek up to $10,000 in this new voucher program. Are Islamic schools able to take advantage of this program, and how can parents and Islamic schools start benefiting from the state funding, since we're talking about some of these challenges in financing Islamic schools?
I think this private school voucher program is an excellent one, and we are like way late in Texas. I don't know why. Okay.
Other states have done this?
Yeah. I visited several Islamic schools in Florida, in Wisconsin, for example, and they do have this program a while ago. That their government or their state does support or give like vouchers for private schools, even the religious-based schools, whether like Christian or Jewish or Muslim, it doesn't make a difference. Or they do not discriminate. However, alhamdulillah, like it did happen now. In Texas, Islamic schools actually have to take full advantage of this program. Muslim parents have to take advantage of this program, because one of the main obstacles of sending kids to Islamic schools, as we said in the beginning, is the tuition fees. Well, there's no excuse now. Okay, you can just like tap on the resources of this, and we are not asking too much, by the way. I mean, this is our tax money,
Right.
so we benefit from the money that we pay to the government. Okay, in a very like legal and very professional way by just sending our kids to Islamic schools and take advantage of this program. Hopefully, inshallah, within the next, I would say, 1 or 2 years, you will see more Islamic schools that will be established from scratch, and the current ones will be just expanding and accommodating more students, right? Because it's not only the tuition fees. Like, you need to have a facility that is sufficient, enough to accommodate those kids. So it's not like kun fayakun. No, I mean, it takes time to
Right.
to catch up with the requirement of that growth,
Yeah,
and
I
to have
can imagine
facility, and
there
to
will
have
be
teachers,
just
and you have curriculum, and you have. But overall speaking, alhamdulillah, it's a very good step forward. Muslims actually have to be up to the challenge, and just take advantage of this voucher, this program, and send like more kids to Islamic schools.
Yeah, I know Dr. Noor Mubin at Guidance College. He's very excited about this program, and he's a thought leader at Guidance College that
Mm-hmm.
can provide guidance to the communities as well as to the students at Guidance College in the Islamic Education Masters on being thought leaders to their communities. So I think just to plug in, Guidance College is, I think, our our Masters in Islamic Education is positioned well to create leaders who can then help communities and families build and take advantage of this huge program. I mean, like $10,000 per student, and you have a school with 100 students. That is, I have to do the math, $1 million a
Mm-hmm.
month. $1 million a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? 10,000 times 100. That's $1 million a month. Oh no, $1 million a year. So $1 million a year of state funding that will build some real serious institutions.
Well, in my experience, akhi, it's a cycle or a circle. عرفت؟
Hmm.
يعني if you want to generate more money, right? More money as tuition fees, then you have to offer a good academic program.
Mhm.
Now, in order for you to offer a good academic program, you have to have good teachers,
Yeah.
right? In order for you to hire good teachers, like highly qualified teachers, you have to have money, right? Because those like highly qualified teachers will not work for free. And if you
Mhm.
underpay them, you're gonna lose them, right? They will go somewhere else and find a job with a better like pay.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you understand, how to run that circle. Okay, good academic programs and good performance brings more money. More money means more student. Okay, more students. Because actually parents and students will start sharing the news that mashallah so and so teacher, math teacher or science or Quran. Okay, so parents actually will be impressed by the good reputation of those teachers and by their outstanding performance. They're gonna send their kids.
Mhm.
You as an Islamic school, you will be receiving more kids. More kids from a pure business perspective means more money, right?
Mhm.
So more money you receive, you can hire more and more highly qualified teachers. To have
You
those
in
highly
your
qualified
PowerPoint
teachers,
in your
right?
PowerPoint you say if you pay peanuts you'll get monkeys.
That's absolutely correct. If you pay peanuts, you will get monkeys. So we do not want to have monkeys. We have to like highly qualified teachers. A part of that actually is not to pay them well, is to give them a package. Okay, like for example, life insurance, disability insurance, 401k, any kind of retirement account, عرفت? Incentive every now and then, عرفت? Maybe an annual raise. I mean, just to make sure that their knowledge and their time, okay, are highly appreciated in your Islamic school. Otherwise, again, they will.
Yeah.
I mean, you will miss them. They will go somewhere else.
So let's talk about those figures that are realistic to attract top talent. I mean, in your experience, when you paid peanuts, you got monkeys, and then when you paid with good salary, good benefits, insurance, did that work in attracting top talent? Number one, and number two, can you tell to us like what does that look like? Because teacher salaries is like a broader American issue.
Well, there is no like one size fits all. Yeah, and you cannot compare certified teacher in the state of California, right, who holds masters in science, with a certified certified teacher who holds masters in science, okay, in the state of Texas, because the living expense in California, okay, is way higher than here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our state here.
Texas. Okay.
If you are looking for like figure amounts, I would say that if you want to attract people with masters, certified teachers, a minimum of maybe $80,000 to $90,000 a year would be good enough.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But the problem here, or the reality, is that the vast majority of those schools cannot afford paying $80,000 to $90,000 a year. Bear in mind that
I've never heard of
post-COVID,
that for an
yeah,
Islamic school teacher.
yeah. Bear in mind that like post-COVID and the excessive inflation that the American economics and finance is experiencing makes the purchase power of the money less and less because of the inflation. So $70,000 or $80,000 back in 2020 before COVID-19 are way different than $70,000 or $80,000 in 2025.
Right.
Purchase power is going down significantly.
Right.
So those teachers are
Maybe
not
a
asking
future-
too much.
Maybe a future podcast.
Yeah, here you go. So those teachers are not asking too much, right? If you want them to focus and concentrate and produce, okay, you need to give them a peace of mind.
Yeah.
Peace of mind actually means good pay
Mm-hmm.
and a package like 401k, IRA, like any kind of retirement account.
Right.
If you can offer them life insurance, disability insurance, health insurance, that will be like really attractive for them, and you will definitely increase their like sense of loyalty and belonging to your project, because at the end of the day they are humans and they have bills to be paid toward the end of the month. So if you do not take care of their finance, they will not take care of your business. They will not focus, okay, on and produce well in the school.
Well, first of all, I'm really surprised to hear that number, $80,000 to $90,000. But it's not surprising when you look at private Catholic schools. That's expected, and that's the reputation. But I've interviewed for Islamic schools, head of Islamic studies, but I was offered $20,000 for the whole year to, teach several grades. So talk to me a little bit about, is this a startup reality, or is this bad financial stewardship where we're not paying the teachers? What's happening? Like, how do we get to a place where we're able to pay our teachers 80 to 90K?
Well, I think more than one party is responsible, for this challenge. One of those parties actually is the community at large. Because until today, believe it or not, I don't think that the Muslim community at large, I'm not talking about like a specific community or specific state, Muslim community at large does not appreciate enough the importance of Islamic schools. And that's why more than 90% of the Muslim kids in the USA are just joining public school. Despite the fact that in certain scenarios and certain cases, Islamic schools are available, Islamic schools are affordable, but the parents themselves actually do not see the importance of sending their kids to Islamic schools. Well, if the community at large, okay, and your donors, whether like small donors or mega donors, if they do not appreciate what they do, they will not pay you money. And if they do not pay you money as a donation, how can you give your teachers a good salary? Okay? And if you just raise the tuition fees a little bit, some of the kids actually will just drop, or parents will take their kids because they cannot afford it. So it's a cycle.
Yeah.
عرفت أخي؟ يعني you as a school, you need to believe in what you do, and you need to afford as much money as salary as possible, and you need to persuade your donors to be as generous, as supportive as possible. عرفت أخي؟ If the community support you and the tuition fees are like reasonable enough, right, then you can offer your teachers good salary. But if you charge only $400 a month per student in average, right, and your donors barely can just afford that 5 to 10 to 15% deficit to pay it off in your behalf, then you are going nowhere. Like your teachers will still like working with the minimum wage, as they say, and consequently they just keep looking for any other opportunity just to quit from your school, resign and go somewhere else because they want money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just getting increasingly challenging with inflation. I want to keep steeper the conversation still around finances for Islamic schools, and your presentation talks about endowment and funding. So this is a later stage, or is it early stage? Because I've always thought, well, like yeah, there is a period in Islamic school where you're in startup mode, and you just are barely getting by, and you're going to be in deficit for quite some time. So let's first talk about deficit, and then we can talk about endowment and how these things are related. So, what level of operating deficit is acceptable for an Islamic school, and when should fundraising and interest-free loans be considered, if at all?
طيب, let's talk about the deficit. In my experience, having up to 10, maybe 15% annual deficit is something very normal,
Okay.
very expected,
Okay.
and believe it or not, it is healthy.
Okay.
Because if you are 100% self-sufficient financially, there is no need for you to get back to your community and to gather them and to give them an update about your school,
Yeah.
right? Well, we want our brothers and sisters, parents, and other community members to know more about our school. So there is a desperate need for maybe once or twice, okay, a big like gathering in a fundraising to do a presentation and to show the community at large what are you doing in your school. And a part of increasing that public awareness within the Muslim community is to ask, for their financial support.
Yeah.
And if they get impressed with your presentation, what you do, they will pay you money.
Right.
Well, they have to pay zakat al-mal anyway,
Yeah.
right? And some of those kids actually are eligible zakat recipients, like under the category of al-fuqara al-masakin. You can pay, like, to support financially those kids who cannot afford paying the tuition fees. So back to our discussion, having up to 10 to 15% annual deficit is not bad at all.
Okay.
It becomes bad like when it jumps to 20, 30, 40%. Okay, it means that your system actually is not structured in a healthy and a very feasible and practical way. Well, you need to adjust the numbers when it comes to the tuition fees, when it comes to the overhead expenses, when it comes to the salaries. Something wrong with with your system. But if you are between 5, 10, 15% deficit annually, you can just easily get back to your community and ask for the donation, and they will pay you. They will pay you. That is the deficit issue. Now, funding schools, we usually start with donation. And sometimes actually, sometimes we annoy our donors. Like we are so pushy and just keep pushing them and we want your donation every now and then, fundraising. So people would say, well, that's way too much. So as an Islamic school leader,
Yeah.
right? If the donation that you receive are insufficient, well, you can get out of the box and think differently. You can ask your donors not to be donors, but to be lenders. So you take an interest-free loan from them. And in my very humble experience, some people actually like it. If they are not willing to give you $50,000 donation, they might give you $50,000 qardun hasan, interest-free loan. Here is the money, and you have until the end of Ramadan. By the end of Ramadan, I mean, you will be handling your finance very well in the month of Ramadan. Everybody pays zakat al-mal, and just pay them. So number one, donation, and number two, interest-free loan, because Muslims do not charge interest and do not pay interest. And number three actually is to run it as a business. Like you do not ask for donation because people are fed up, and you do not ask for interest-free loan because people are not interested to give you interest-free loan for 6 months or for 1 year because of the inflation, because they need the money. So you just do it as a business. It's a very simple concept in the Islamic finance system. And actually I did do some Sharia compliance consultation for several projects, several Islamic schools, okay, on how to finish their project, the construction, okay, in a business way. You create an LLC, limited liability corporation.
Okay.
You call the wealthy individuals in the community not to donate money, not to lend you money, no, to invest in the project. You want to build a school, and the total cost actually is $1 million. So you create that LLC, okay, and those people actually would just pitch in $1 million, right? And you contract a home builder or construction company to build the school from scratch, from A to Z. Now
Okay.
that LLC would sell that building to the community or to the school administration for $1.1 million. That's called عقد استصناع, as you know. استصناع means manufacturing sale.
Yeah, it's
عرفت أخي؟
it's ربح also.
Yeah,
It's a cost plus
manufacturing,
sale. Yeah.
exactly, manufacturing sale.
Yeah.
عقد استصناع.
صناعة, yeah.
Well, if the building, if the compound actually is there, then you do it مرابحة.
Yeah.
مرابحة means cost plus, as you said.
Yeah.
You bring those investors under the LLC. They just buy the property spot sale and sell it back to the school, credit sale, right, or an installment sale within 5, 10, 20 years, whatever, for whatever like markup they are looking for.
Yeah.
So subhanallah, when there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah.
عرفت؟
Inshallah.
Donation is not there, that's fine. We can go with قرض حسن. قرض حسن is not there, or we're asking too much. Do it business. It's a win-win situation. And
Yeah.
from the tuition fees, right, and the donation in the future, you can collect some money and just pay those investors, and you end up just owning your own building. If the donation is insufficient, you just do it as a business.
Hmm. Well, a lot of what you're describing creates questions around board. I know I need to ask about the endowment, but I want to ask about board, selecting the right board, because it looks like if, for example, you have students, parents, teachers, construction loans, investors, these are a lot of relationships to manage. So what is the role of a board for an Islamic school? And with your experience, what type of board members should you bring in?
Well, you need to decide, are you looking for board of directors or board of trustees?
Mm-hmm.
Board of directors actually is a kind of executive committee that gets involved in the day-to-day operation. And I highly, highly recommend not to have board of directors for Islamic schools.
Oh.
Give the principal full authority, jurisdiction, let him or her do whatever he wants under the supervision of the board. That board will be a board of trustees and not board of directors. Board of trustees are just a group of visionary people, okay, like wise, old, well-respected, well-established individuals in the community who can just like monitor and supervise the overall performance of the school, okay? And the only job they do is to meet maybe once or twice a year, okay, and just making sure that the director / the principal of the school is executing the vision and the mission of the school, okay, and there is no violation or shortcoming, okay. All the bylaws actually are well, observed and preserved, and that person in charge actually is like going through whatever he or she is supposed to go through. So let's go with board of trustees, not board of directors. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to the qualification, we need like some of the parents to be in the school, because they are the ones who care maybe the most about the well-being of the schools.
Right.
Okay? Their kids are there, so we need parents, like maybe one parent. We need some people who are politically connected, maybe politicians, because in this society you need to communicate with public officials, with elected officials, with the governor, with the mayor, so you need like some people who are well connected with the political system in the US. You might need an attorney, okay, for any legal perspective that has to be covered very well. You need business people, businessmen, businesswomen, okay, who do have that business mentality, okay. They might be big donors, and they might not, but at least they can help you from a business perspective how to run your school and how to build the structure in a feasible and profitable way. You need some religious figures. If the imam is highly qualified, like the local imam of the community is highly qualified, well-respected figure in the community, have him as a board member. You need some educators, like people, maybe professors in education, maybe professors in different field, but they are actually in the field of education. عرفت أخي؟ فthat is the diversity that you need to have in your board, just to make sure that the board is not going like only one direction or like one man show, impacted by like certain individuals. No, there is a diversity. Okay, some politicians, lawyers, business people, religious figures, educators. عرفت أخي? Put them together, and that would be maybe like the best.
Yeah.
Best diversity you should have in your board.
That's a good insight, to not have a board of directors, but a board of trustees, so that the people who are running the school have the emotional investment, they are putting in the time, they have the expertise, they're paid to do it. Whereas a board of directors end up being volunteers who are, in my experience, they're still volunteers, so they're doing it on their free time, and then it's not the best of management. So I see the advice to have a board of trustees, and then to have the people in the school run things and have the vision for the school.
And once you have board of directors, and the principal works under them, there will be a lot of power struggle. The principal wants to be independent,
Yeah.
and they want like to influence his or her decision, and this is actually where the pain starts from. No,
Okay.
I mean you have to have that autonomy, independence, separation. So in the board of trustees,
Yeah.
who are just supervise, well, they have the ultimate power. If they are not happy with the overall performance of the principal, they can just fire him, or at least I would like to be more respectful. Okay, they should not renew his contract for the next
Right.
year, and just
Right.
find the right person. Once you hire as a board of trustees, once you hire the right principal, right director of the school, leave him alone. Let him just do his job.
Right.
Everybody has his own way of running business, and you hold him accountable in the meeting, but do not put your nose in every single like decision he or she makes on daily basis. That's way too much.
I feel like there's a lot of history there. There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of experience. What you're sharing is, so yeah, if you build it right, you set the relationships and the expectations right, then it avoids a lot of heartbreak and conflict. So, but we won't get into that, because this is about the finances of an Islamic school. Maybe we can talk about the operations of an Islamic school more
Naam,
in
sure.
depth in a future. So let's talk about endowments. I was surprised to see in your presentation that you say to prioritize an endowment from day one. I've always thought that endowment is something later down the line, when there's cash flow and there's a healthy amount in the bank, and then you hire a wealth manager, and then they start creating some form of investment account, which is essentially what an endowment is. But why do you say that endowment is a high priority from day one? And how do you go about building a successful endowment for an Islamic school?
The concept of endowment or al-waqf is a well-established Islamic practice and Islamic culture. It has actually long history. Until today, some of the Islamic affairs ministers in the Muslim world, they are called Wazaratul Awqaf wa Shu'un al-Islami. Al-Awqaf is the plural of waqf. Waqf actually means endowment. And what happened is that certain individuals might designate certain property, okay, to serve a certain cause, as simple as that. So this farm that I own is a waqf. So all the agricultural products and the crops and whatever, okay, are to be sold for the cause of that school, for the cause of that masjid, for the cause of the fuqara, the needy individuals. That's actually the philosophy and the concept of al-waqf, that you designate a certain property, profitable or money generating project, okay, you set it as a waqf. Waqf means not for sale. It cannot be sold. So the benefit, well, like whatever that waqf or that project produces, money or crops or whatever, okay, is designated to financially support a certain project. Now, why should we start from day one? Because collecting sufficient amount of money nowadays in 2025 to purchase a property and to use it as a rental property is not an easy job. Okay, and you cannot actually persuade your donors to give you big chunk of money as an awqaf while you are financially struggling to cover your day-to-day expenses.
Right.
So your strategy from day one should be, I will be putting aside 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever I can afford. Put it aside for waqf purposes. Once you collect a good amount of money, you can purchase maybe a condominium or a house or an apartment or shopping center, whatever you can afford. Okay, as a waqf for your school. So you start renting it, that lease revenue will be serving the school. And if you can, from the general, like from the lease revenue, if you can put some money aside for a second property, a third property, after a few years, you will find yourself having a good amount of money and a good amount of projects that cover a good percentage of your annual expenses. We do have an experience with Guidance College in the past. We used to buy some properties and rent them, right? And then after 2 or 3 or 4 years, we sell them and we make some money from the appreciation. Nowadays, we have a partnership with the Huda Islamic Center. We pay like money to Huda Islamic Center in order for the commercial part whenever it is built, because the Huda Islamic Center, if you look at the master plan, there is a commercial part of it, right? Forget about the school and the masjid and the healthcare clinic. There is an apartment complex, right, and a shopping center. So Guidance College is entitled to pay up to 50% of the actual cost of the commercial part of Al-Huda Islamic Center, in order for us to be entitled to get 50% of the lease revenue. So it's a long-term strategy that will secure a good amount of money on a monthly basis to Guidance College whenever the commercial part actually is built. Back to the Islamic school, we should think of it the same way. Okay, from each and every dollar that you generate as a donation, put 1, 2, 3% aside. Okay, buy a piece of land, buy a property, condominium, apartment, house, whatever you can afford, shopping center, rent it and generate money. Down the road, you will be surprised that after a few years, okay, you will be accumulating like a good amount of money that will be sufficient enough to cover a good percentage of your annual expenses. That is the philosophy and the wisdom behind having endowment from day one. Do not delay it, because it's not a luxury; it is a must.
So, if you were starting an Islamic school, how much percentage would you save from day one?
If I can put aside 2.5%, like zakat al-mal, put it aside, that will be great. And by the way, this is like a well-established practice even in the USA. Those well-established universities like Harvard and Yale, they have billions with billions of dollars worth of investment and endowment.
Yeah, I think Harvard has 50 billion.
Oh yeah. They have a lot of money. And this society, as I said several times, money talks. Yeah. When you have money, you can do whatever you want. You need to think and plan correctly from day one. You don't you do not want to be under the mercy of your community, under the mercy of the government grants. No, you establish yourself financially from day one.
Interesting. MashaAllah. This is such. If you and I were just talking off camera, I have like hundreds of questions, because like I have a kid, we have a kid on the way, and we're like, should we send them to public school and be involved in the PTA? Should we go to Islamic school and take advantage of this voucher program? Should I do it like how I did it, where I did homeschool and then I went to madrasa? And there's many ways to do it, and at the end of the day, a parent just has to be really involved in the tarbiyah of their child. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, first of all, this podcast is being done for the purpose of putting Guidance College out on the map in the marketplace as a thought leader in various topics related to the Muslim community. And this topic is super important. It may not be, it's very niche, but the people who are going to be interested are going to be watching this entire episode. I guarantee that, because you've basically dropped like thousands of dollars of consulting advice in this podcast and decades of experience. So my question to you is, with Guidance College, and particularly the Masters in Islamic Finance and the Masters in Islamic Education, and then also we have the Bachelors in Islamic Studies, how might these programs be of benefit to families and to communities looking to build strong foundations in Islamic education?
I think Guidance College can contribute a lot toward our topic, our discussion today. When it comes to the bachelor's degree in Islamic Studies, that is a very important program to advance and to enhance the quality of Islamic education that our teachers offer for kids in different Islamic schools. In the USA, we have around or maybe more than 500 different full-time Islamic schools. And it's really, really unfortunate to say that the vast majority, and I'm fully responsible for what I say, the vast majority of those Quran, Arabic as second language, Islamic teachers, Islamic studies teachers, do not have a minimum academic qualification and certification. They do not have any degree in Islamic studies, any ijazah in Quran. So guidance college actually is a very perfect fit, for that need. Send your teachers to guidance college online. You do not have to fly to Houston, Texas to join us. Everything is now online. Guidance college is a purely online university. It's a weekend and evening university college. So from the convenience of their homes after 5 or 6 p.m. they can just log in online and join the classes. And you will see actually the fruit of your investment in those teachers. Once they hold a degree in Islamic studies, the quality of their performance will be enhanced. Okay, students will be benefiting. Students actually will be practicing their deen and understanding their deen in a better way. Parents of those students will be impressed by the performance of your Islamic studies teachers, right? Because they joined Guidance College for this program. Now, the Masters in Islamic education will enhance even more and more the quality of Islamic education. The other Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance is the program that helps the leaders of the Islamic school to think, to get out of the box, and to think in a very critical and a very ethically and very financially responsible way. Like all these thoughts that I came up with are coming from the Islamic finance system that we teach at Guidance College.
Right.
How to set an endowment, the importance of going in order between donation first and then loan, and then you do it as an investment, how to set the deficit, how to get back to your community, and so on and so forth. So all these ideas are a part of what we teach at the Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. So to conclude, Guidance College actually is, and inshallah will continue to be like a good player, in this field to enhance the quality and the financial stability of Islamic schools in the U.S.
So what I heard in that response is that the bachelor's program is really good for core Islamic studies for Islamic schools in Tajweed and Arabic and all subjects.
عقيدة, تفسير, فقه,
right.
عرفت, أصول,
Hadith.
عربي, نعم, لغة عربية. That is the bachelor's degree. The master's actually is like more enhanced.
Yeah.
It has two different components. It has the teacher certification program that's almost 50% of the program.
Yeah.
And Islamic studies on just a graduate level.
Yeah.
So that master's in Islamic education is not to be restricted or limited to the Quran and Arabic teachers. Even like math and science, teachers can actually join Guidance College for master's in Islamic education. The good news here is that if those teachers are certified already in their respective state, whether Texas or another state, then most of the classes that we teach under the teacher certification will be just waived, because like those teachers are already certified. So they take 50 to 60% of the program, okay, and they will be like granted a master's in Islamic education.
Yeah, I can see the Islamic finance masters being something very relevant for financial stability, and really the bulk of our conversation today, the Islamic finance would be great for principals, for curriculum directors, for even, sometimes schools have development offices to take this course to learn good financial stewardship for Islamic schools, learn how this art of fund development, and then when it comes to curriculum design, that this Masters of Education at Guidance College is something that schools could benefit from. I'm in the marketing department. I look at the data. Most of the students coming in currently at Guidance College are in their 40s, in their 50s, looking to continue their Islamic studies, and then also because they want to teach their children and their communities. So definitely, if you join Guidance College, you'll be amongst peers who are interested in giving back to the community. My final question for today is, of all the things that we've talked about related to financial stability for Islamic schools, what is your top 3 advice for someone that is considering starting an Islamic school today?
I would say number one, Purify your intention. Make sure that you are mukhlis, you are sincere. You work for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, do your math and scan the community and find out the resources that you have within your community. How many potential teachers can join? Who are the best candidates for the board of trustees? Who is the potential principal / director? How many students they will be joining? Who are your potential donors? Because it goes like hand in hand, right? Finance along with the logistic. And number three, you need to be consistent, insistent, and persistent. There is nothing actually comes out perfectly fine in 1 year, right? It's not a rocket science. You need to be so insistent and persistent in your work, and so patient as well. Okay, it takes time. And I still remember when we started Houston Quran Academy back in 2008.
17 years, mashallah.
I was the only teacher. I was the principal and the teacher, okay, and the admin and the security guy and everything. I used to teach 13 students from 8 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. afternoon. And then alhamdulillah, within like from 2008 until now 2025, we have almost now 500 students, and some students are still on the waiting list, right? And we have 2 campuses now, one in Spring and one in Katy. And our budget, mashallah, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we have a piece of land that we're going to build a campus. So there is no magic touch here, right? You just depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You put your trust in Him. You have a very sharp and very clear vision and mission, where to be after 10-15 years from now, what to do to reach to that goal, and just continue working diligently with your community members, and inshallah your project will be successful, inshallah.
MashaAllah. Ikhlasun niyyah, sincere intentions, doing your math, know your financial plan, and istiqamah, grit, just working hard.
Yeah.
There's no magic recipe to it.
Really.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Maan. This is the first of many conversations about critical ideas that are shaping the Muslim community in the West. And I'm just excited for Guidance College to be providing thought leadership for the broader Muslim community.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for having me here.